Cardano has more than $143 million US currently locked between all of the protocols on the network, with more than $10 million locked between AADA Finance and Liqwid. And with MELD on the way, could a DeFi summer just like we saw on Ethereum be coming to Cardano? What is going on, AADA Nation? Welcome back to Dapp Central. I'm your host here, Fareed, and in today's video, I want to talk about the top 3 lending and borrowing protocols that will be coming to Cardano. Now, over the course of the past few weeks, we've seen the total value locked on the network continue to rise, with a lot of liquidity shifting out of the CNFT market and heading over into DeFi. If you guys are not familiar, DeFi is going to be slightly behind, given that it's relatively newer on the Cardano ecosystem compared to Ethereum. And so as a part of today's video, I want to talk to you guys about 3 protocols that are building DeFi platforms in Cardano. The first is going to be MELD, which is going to be a DeFi and lending protocol providing C2C or crypto to crypto services, as well as CTF or crypto to fiat services as well. The second is going to be Liqwid, which is also going to be providing a lending and borrowing platform focusing on Cardano native assets. And then third is going to be the AADA Finance protocol, which is going to be a peer-to-peer platform right now, which has recently announced that they will be moving to a peer-to-pool platform, adopting Icon in order to make their smart contract developments a lot easier to complete. And so let's just quickly jump into MELD first. And what I want to talk about when it comes to MELD is just going to be some of their latest progress. Now, I recently released a video basically breaking down a recent AMA that Ken Oling had surrounding the developments of their testnet as well as their future plans. If you guys don't already have access to the MELD testnet, you can go ahead and get access to it by heading over to testnet.meld.com. Now, in order to actually get a code to enter the testnet, which is going to be a closed testnet, but it is available to the public, they're doing this because of the fact that they are automating their faucet resources. So they don't want to just have this open to the public where everybody can come in and create wallets and then maybe not necessarily use all the tokens that are given to them automatically. So in order to get access, you will need to head over to the MELD Discord, and from there you can go ahead and enter a few simple commands in order to register for the testnet. Now, in terms of what actually has been done here, we now have the ability to send and receive transactions here directly from their testnet, and you can actually do that quite quickly using either of these 2 options here. On top of that, you can go ahead and supply and borrow, right, depending on what you currently hold. So if you hold certain assets, you can go ahead and actually supply them to the lending protocol. Now, if you want to borrow against your collateralized crypto, all you need to do is go ahead and supply it first, and then you can actually come over on the other side here and you can borrow against that. So keep that in mind. Depending on what you hold, you can actually use this protocol for 2 separate functions, either to lend or borrow. Now, of the 3 protocols that I'm going to be talking about today, MELD is going to be the only one that is still currently developing on the testnet. So they have yet to hit mainnet, but they are well on their way. During that last call with Ken Oling, he confirmed that they are planning to release the C2C portion, or the crypto to crypto portion, which I just showed you guys there, sometime in Q2 of this year. Following that, they'll be pivoting to discuss or to work on their C2F model, which will be their crypto to fiat model, allowing users to create a bank account with the MELD neobank and actually take loans in fiat against their collateralized crypto. Now, jumping back into additional updates about MELD, if you guys are not already familiar, they have what they call the MELD Dev Diary. Now, this Dev Diary is going to be a weekly update released every single Monday, breaking down some of the latest developments by the actual team. So what I want to do is just briefly show you guys a few key points that they've mentioned here. And of course, you guys can go ahead and just kind of dive deeper into this on your own if you would like to do so using the link that I'm going to be leaving down below. Now, as a part of the 29th Dev Diary, it states here that in regards to the MELD app, they've now set up their faucet for EVM testing. During that last call with Ken on the AMA, he did confirm that they not only have the testnet up and running on the Cardano network, but they've also got the testnet running up on the MELD subnet, or the MELD sidechain. So this is going to be an Avalanche subnet, but it's going to be the MELD L1. So they'll actually be paying for gas fees and MELD, and everything will be done on that protocol, again, running on top of Avalanche. So they've got the faucet set up for EVM testing. Another key point that I wanted to mention here is going to be that they've now added APIs for interacting with transactions. Now, a long time ago, I want to say this is about September of 2022, Ken did mention that the MELD team will be planning to open source an API, which will basically allow users to get direct access to some of the information that the MELD protocol uses. So they haven't actually talked about open sourcing things just yet, but as you guys can see here, they've actually got quite a bit here when it comes to updates surrounding API. So really good news there. Just wanted to highlight that there briefly. Jumping over into the next Dev Diary, which was just released on April 3rd, or one day from the day that I'm shooting this video, we have NFT integration for their wallet on the EVM subnet. So again, here, really good progress. And if I jump back over here, they've actually got an NFT tab that has yet to be implemented yet on Cardano, but as soon as this is, we will see the integration of the MELD bank managers as well as the MELD Diamond Hand NFT. So it does look like they will be one of the few lending and borrowing protocols to support NFTs in-house with their own MELD wallet. Now, on top of that, they are preparing for testnet deployment v0.2. So right now, if I jump back over here and I actually click on my avatar here, you're going to notice that they're currently on build 0.1.10. So they're going to be upgrading to build 0.2. As a part of that, we can expect quite a few additional updates, which include UI and UX edits and adjustments, as well as some of this growing list that you guys see here. Again, for the interest of time, I'm not going to cover all of this, but I will leave the links to them down below. The very last thing I want to talk about when it comes to MELD is going to be their future plan. So right here on MELD.com, we have the 2023 roadmap. So as a part of Q1, we are going to see the MELD app testnet launch, which I just showed you guys there, which they've completed. Number 2, we're going to see on Cardano the launch of lending and borrowing protocol on the testnet, as well as right now what they're working on, which includes 4 different things. Number 1, lending and borrowing security audits. Number 2, bank manager minting and launch. And that is going to be one thing that we have been waiting patiently for, which should be coming very, very soon. I know that the community has been waiting patiently and the team has been teasing us for quite a while. But during December, we did get our first sneak peek of this new version of the MELD Bank Managers. Number 3, MELD Finance Legal and tech stack. So during the AMA, Ken alluded to a tech stack that they're currently testing themselves before releasing it to the general public here. That would basically put them in a much better place when it comes to C2F. So looks like they're working on that tech stack. And then very lastly, we're expecting a second tier 1 exchange listing. As a part of the 25 days of MELD, which took place during the month of December, they announced a listing on MEXC, which is going to be one of the top exchanges within the centralized exchange space. And so in this space, we've got the likes of Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and KuCoin. Those are all platforms that I personally would consider as tier 1 exchanges. And again, let me know what you guys think down below if you guys have any additional clues or maybe hints as to who they could be getting listed by moving forward. As a part of Q2, we can expect Cardano lending and borrowing mainnet launch. We can expect the MELD DAO testnet, as well as their MELD app mainnet launch. Now, the lending and borrowing is going to be separate from the MELD app. The MELD app is going to be the wallet that allows for you to interact with the MELD platform. So you can still do the lending and borrowing without the MELD app. And keep in mind that they will be supporting traditional wallets such as Nami, Yoroi, Typhon, Flint, etc. moving forward. There was a lot of concern here in the community surrounding the fact that MELD would initially be using the Web3 Auth partnership in order to integrate with Google. But if you don't want to do that, that option will be available. Now, as a close of Q2, they're going to be completing their lending and borrowing security audits. And then on the MELD network, which is going to be the Avalanche subnet, they will be launching their testnet. So I would assume that all the work that's been done on Cardano will be ported over as EVM smart contracts and launched on that network. Now, conditional milestones include the MELD Finance launch, or I believe the MELD C2F, as well as the mGold token and their airdrop. Now, the mGold token is going to be a token being backed by actual physical gold. Now, as a part of that distribution, I believe that can confirm that if you do hold one of their bank manager NFTs that you may be eligible to actually receive an airdrop. Now, keep in mind that if you hold more than one, that will not double or increase your chances of actually earning the gold airdrop. That said, though, I'll be keeping you guys posted as those are conditional milestones, so they may not actually occur, but if they do, then again, I'll be making sure to release additional videos surrounding that. That is going to be updates there surrounding the first protocol that's going to be bringing cutting edge technology when it comes to DeFi on Cardano. Number 2 is going to be Liqwid. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Liqwid or LQ, they recently launched in the beginning of February. So during that launch, what we saw there was the fact that the Liqwid team launched a lending and borrowing market for AADA, and then they've recently added JED as well. And so it states here, in a few moments, LQ staking will also launch on the mainnet and in the app UI. This feature allows LQ holders to earn a fixed APR on their LQ while participating in Liqwid's DAO on-chain governance. This includes the highly anticipated Aqua Farmers Boost. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the Aqua Farmers themselves, they're going to be an NFT collection that was released by the Liqwid team. These will give you an additional boost when it comes to staking on their protocol. And again, this is now going to be officially live. So there's been a lot of people trading these NFTs, and actually these, I believe, were airdropped or were eligible to be minted, if you held one LQ token before a snapshot was taken in early of 2022. And so we did see people, purchase up the LQ token in order to be eligible to mint one of these NFTs. And since then, the price has skyrocketed. However, over the course of the past few months, it has kind of trailed down a little bit. But with this news here, I would expect to see some of these Aqua Farmer NFTs begin to come off the market again. Now, if I jump back over into this announcement here, it states that the voting UI for their DAO is being finalized right now, and it will become accessible in the mainnet app UI in the coming days. Now, once the new voting UI is launched, the initial governance proposals will begin for their on-chain voting period. Now, I also want to touch on the fact here that they are going to be updating their user interface. So in this screenshot here, let me blow it up just a little bit there. We can see that at the top, we have the total amount being supplied, we have the total collateral, as well as our total debt and our risk details when it comes to our health factor. Again, the health factor is going to dictate how close you are to being liquidated on the actual protocol. In terms of positions here, you can see all the different loan positions that you have available with the total collateral, total debt, and health factors for each one of those. So I believe this is the overall stats here, and then you've got the individual loan positions broken down there. Right below that, we have a very similar section to what we currently have on the protocol right now, which is the your supply section, which is what you supplied in terms of lending, and then what you're actually borrowing here on the right hand side. Right below that, we have the assets that are available to supply, which, as I mentioned right now, include AADA and JED. And so if you want to supply AADA or JED in order to earn, you can do that on the protocol. And then I believe that moving forward, they'll be using their on-chain governance protocol or on-chain governance platform in order to adopt brand new assets. Jumping into the next LQ update here, this is going to be a continuation of the fact that the staking for the Aqua Farmers is now live. So it reads here, LQ staking with Aqua Farmer boosts is now live on mainnet. Stake your LQ governance tokens for either 6 months for 5% APR or for 12 months with a 12% APR. The Aqua Farmer boost applies to users holding an Aqua Farmer NFT in their staked wallets. And so again, that's just a continuation to that first tweet, which is announcing the fact that this will be coming online very, very soon. Now, in closing here for LQ, I want to announce the fact that their first draft spreadsheet detailing the user distribution rewards accrued for the month of February is officially here. I'll go ahead and leave the link to this document down below as well. But as a part of this update here, it states LQ user distribution rewards are allocated to every user who holds the Q tokens in their wallet as a supplier on the protocol, or who has them locked in a loan as collateral, as well as to every borrower. So if you're borrowing on the protocol, if you're lending, or if you're using AADA, so basically if you're interacting in any way, shape, or form with the actual LQ platform, you will be eligible to accrue rewards, which are documented as a part of this draft paper. So if I jump over into their spreadsheet here, we have an introduction that basically goes over who is eligible and exactly how they're calculating the rewards. In this second spreadsheet, or in this second tab, I should say here, we have some of the information surrounding the actual calculations. And then as a part of this third tab here, we have a list of all the addresses that are currently available, with column B displaying how many of the LQ tokens they'll be eligible to earn. That is going to wrap it up there for updates on LQ. Moving over, I want to touch on AADA Finance, which has been making a lot of waves here over the course of the last week. As I mentioned, AADA is going to be a peer-to-peer platform right now that is going to be moving over to a peer-to-pool platform, leveraging Icon. And so what we have here is going to be an update surrounding their fifth on-chain governance platform. So very similar to what we have with LQ, they're also going to have their own DAO, which is going to be able to dictate the adoption and the growth and just the future strategy surrounding the implementation of the protocol. Now, in both of these DAOs, you do need to hold their governance token. So in Liqwid, you need to hold LQ, and then for AADA Finance, you need to hold the AADA token, which is going to be the native governance token for the protocol. And so it states here, AADA governance voting option or opportunity number 5 will have a single proposal created by the AADA BTC team. Now, this is going to be whether or not to add CNETA as the collateral or as a collateral option on AADA. And you're going to have an opportunity to vote on this beginning in epoch number 405, which will take place on April 10th. And so as long as you have your AADA tokens by April 5th, they're going to be taking a snapshot and the voting will begin on April 10th. Now, in order to figure out how much voting power you actually have, they're going to be counting AADA as well as liquidity pool shares in many different forms. So you can use the following: the AADA tokens that you actually hold, the AADA tokens that you have staked, as well as collateral that you have in the app if it's in AADA, as well as liquidity pool tokens in the DEX, as well as liquidity pool tokens that you have staked as well. So there's 5 different opportunities there in terms of voting power that you can have when it comes to this upcoming proposal. Now, the next update I want to touch on here is going to be some of their March updates. So we're now starting to see more projects releasing these updates. I think the first project that really started this was MinSwap. They released their monthly updates. We now have Indigo doing the same thing. We have Wing Riders doing the same thing. And we now have AADA doing the same thing as well. I mentioned this before. This is something that I think every single project needs to do. It really makes things very simple, especially at a glance for people that are more visual to figure out what is actually going on. So their current TVL currently sits at 5.7 million ADA. And the average loan size continues to increase, and that's currently sitting at about 5,700 ADA. The average time for a loan is also continuing to increase, which is currently sitting at 19.8 hours. In terms of the most borrowed token on the protocol, that's going to be the ADA token, or Cardano's native governance token, with 2.539 million ADA being borrowed, with an APR on average of 41.1%. Now, following that, the second most borrowed token there is going to be the AADA token, where we have more than 1.4 million being borrowed, with a steep drop off with Min following, followed by MELD, IUSD, JED, and LQ. In terms of the most collateral used, which is the chart on the top right hand side here, let me just blow this up. We have AADA, so that's the majority of collateral on the protocol, which has more than 3.6 million of their tokens being used. Second in terms of collateral is going to be Min, followed by ADA. Now, in closing, I want to take a look at the chart there on the bottom right hand side of the screen. And so in terms of the most borrowed tokens APR, right, which you have to divide over a course of 12 months, we have ADA, or the native governance token for Cardano, providing a 41% APR, followed by AADA providing a 30% APR, and then Min providing a 13% APR, followed by MELD, which is providing 35%. And then we have IUSD with 18%, JED with 26. And then the highest APR on the platform right now when it comes to the most borrowed tokens is going to be 50% by borrowing the LQ token. So if you're looking to provide liquidity to this platform, or if you're looking to provide funds for other people to borrow, then we do see that Liqwid does provide the highest APR APR right now, followed by AADA, and then we have MELD and AADA. That is going to do it there for that particular update. The next thing I want to talk about here is going to be updates surrounding staked AADA tokens. Now, during the month of February and March of 2022, they had a 1-year lock staking option that was made available. And so if you did begin to stake during that process, I just want to remind you guys that those options or those staking options will be unlocking here very, very soon. So you can take a look at your NFT receipt that you should have received as a part of actually staking during that process. So it reads here, attention, all AADA token stakers, your rewards will be unlocked after 1 year. Stakes are getting unlocked at the same hour that you locked them up. So check the metadata on your NFT for time, and then first unlocks are beginning at 1330 UTC or about 130 UTC. You can follow this link that they've posted here in order to actually begin that claim process. Now, the last update I want to share here is going to be a price action update surrounding the AADA protocol. So over the course of the last, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen the price of the AADA token almost do a 5x. At the beginning of this year, or about the mid-December timeline, the token was trading at about 20 cents. Since then, it's shot all the way up to $1, which we saw occur yesterday, and it's now kind of falling back and correcting itself at about 90 cents. So I just wanted to point this out here. There's been a lot of adoption and a lot of eyeballs here surrounding this particular token. And I do believe that as they migrate over to their pooled platform, which will be taking place soon, they haven't announced a date just yet, that we're going to see this value in the token here continue to rise. Now, I did release a video very recently highlighting the fact that they would also be leveraging Icon, which is going to be a smart contract building platform, simplifying the process of developing Plutus smart contracts. So really just trying to streamline their process by upgrading to their pooled lending as well as adopting Icon. Now, the last update I want to touch on here is going to be the TVL for the 3 dApps that we've touched on as a part of today's video, starting off with MELD. As you guys can see down here, MELD is going to be counted as a lending and borrowing platform. However, right now their TVL is currently sitting at 0, given the fact that they have not actually launched on the main net. So as they begin to do that, we should begin to see this value increase. And I do believe that right now they do have 2 staking options, which was a 6-month staking option as well as a 12-month. If you staked as a part of the 12-month, that should now begin to be unlocked. And then if you staked as a part of the December 31 deadline for the 6-month staking, that will be beginning to unlock over the course of the next 2 months. So right now I'm not counting stake, and so right now the value is 0 for MELD. Next is going to be Liqwid, which is going to be up here. And as you guys can see right now, their TVL is currently sitting at 9 million. Congratulations to this team. As soon as they launched, they were anywhere between 6 to 7 million. And over the course of the last 2 months, we've seen greater adoption with an increase over the last month of 35%. Now, the last protocol that we have here on this list is going to be AADA Finance. As you guys can see here right now, their TVL currently sits at $2.18 million. And over the course of the last 30 days, that has increased by 24%. Over the course of the last 7 days, that had increased by 42%. And then just within the last day alone, it has increased over 13%. So while we are seeing those unlocks begin to take place, there does seem to be additional liquidity flowing into the protocol. That is going to take us to the end of today's video. Again, breaking down some of the updates surrounding the top 3 DeFi lending and borrowing protocols that will be coming to Cardano. Let me know which ones you guys are involved in, which ones you guys have high hopes for, and which ones you guys have actually begun to use. That's going to be MELD, AADA Finance, and LQ. If you guys found any of these updates to be helpful, then please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, consider subscribing. And if you guys have any comments about any of these protocols, or if you've even just used them, right, then let me know what your experience has been like down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.